Hello on YouTube. We are starting with the next session in about 2 minutes. I'd like to ask you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Sind wir nicht on air? Da hört man dich. Wo hört man mich? Im Zoom. Also, warte ich schon.
Recording started and ready for rock and roll.
I still cannot share my screen, so
yeah, just hold on a second.
Yeah.
Attila, we are ready?
We are ready if you are, so you can start. Thank you.
Perfect. Vienna is ready. Our session host is ready. Thank you very much for being here, Michael. And everybody else have a lot of fun and a lot of big insights with making a TYPO3 page tree accessible. Michael, your stage.
Yeah, thank you for your introduction, and I'm happy to show you what we learned today from Matthias already, that open source is required to get input, and I will show you my way how I started to get my input into TYPO3. And as I'm an expert in accessibility, I tried to improve the accessibility of the TYPO3 backend. To me, I'm located in Munich, so I work at Mindscreen, a small agency in Munich with a focus on accessibility. I'm working with TYPO3 since 2008, and since 2019 I am the lead of the accessibility initiative, but just some days ago we are in the beginning of transforming the accessibility initiative to an accessibility team, because to everyone who doesn't know the difference between initiatives and teams, in TYPO3, the initiatives are groups of people that try to improve one topic on TYPO3, but more in terms of having one task that improves a thing, like adding a dashboard to the TYPO3 backend. And in some discussions, we decided that accessibility is not a task that is finished in the near future, but instead is an ongoing task like security or marketing. And we considered creating a team that is available for developers to get in contact on questions for accessibility and things like that. So we decided to transform the initiative into a team, and that is just in the process of being done. So about the TYPO3 initiative, it was founded 2016, and then it was not very active any longer. And in 2018, I think it was inactivated, and I re-established the initiative in 2019. The focus of the initiative is to improve the accessibility of TYPO3. So we share our expertise, the team of people together with me in the initiative, and we look for supporters for an accessible TYPO3. So if you are interested in helping us, or if you have questions regarding how to improve TYPO3 in terms of accessibility, just get in contact, and I will have more information on that at the end of the talk. So the topic of the talk is the TYPO3 page tree. I think everyone that used the TYPO3 backend knows this page tree. So the page tree is an SVG element since TYPO3 version 9. And that change caused that there are no links in the element itself. So it's just an SVG with groups and elements and a click and multiple click handlers for the interaction. This change caused that the page tree was not usable with the keyboard at all. It was not even focusable. So when a user tried to get to one page with the keyboard, he wasn't able to get there using the page tree. Earlier versions of TYPO3 had one A tag for every page. That was with that you have been able to reach every page, but it was very hard because you had to tap once for every page. And if you think of TYPO3 instances with, for example, 1,000 pages, it is a little bit hard to count to 916 if you want to have that page. So it was not very comfortable to use it. Also, you were not able to collapse or expand subtrees. In 2018, there was an issue created on Forge that the page tree is not accessible via tab key anymore. And the first patch that was added there suggested to add an A tag for every page element. So this would have restored the old behavior. But as I already told, with a large amount of pages, you would not have been able to use it. It would not have wouldn't be very useful. Also, collapsing and expanding the subtrees would not work. In the beginning of 2019, I had first ideas. I would like to fix it in a helpful way for everyone, but I quickly realized I will not be able to do it on my own. So I got in contact with the community of TYPO3, first via Slack, and also I talked with a lot of people on other barcamps like the TYPO3 Camp Munich. And in September 2019, I restarted the initiative. I was asked to restart the initiative because a lot of person I talked to said, well, we have this initiative, and if you're interested in accessibility, it would be great if we reactivate it and get some more information on this. Then the plan to fix the Pagetree was more active, and in October 2019 I was invited to participate in the TYPO3 Initiative Week. That is 1 week in the Harz in Germany, where all initiatives met, and we were, I think, around 30 people there, and had 1 week to focus on working on TYPO3 issues or discuss things. And it was very good to be there. And my idea was to fix the Pagetree on 1 day during that week. First, we have to think of the Pagetree and accessibility. I tried to do it a way that is helpful for everyone. So I looked for best practices, and I found the pattern tree view in the Y-ARIA rules. Having this pattern, the Pagetree should behave like the Windows File Explorer. So the pattern is known for most users, and it is intuitive because you are using arrow keys to navigate, for example. There are also terms for a tree view. So you have the definition of a node, that is 1 item in a tree. In TYPO3, that would be 1 page. You have a root node, that would be the mounting point in TYPO3, if you have mounting points, or the base node, so the node with ID 0 if you're an administrative, if you have an administrative account. Then you have child nodes, that is every node that has a parent. So actually most of the nodes are child nodes. And you have end nodes, that are nodes that do not have any child nodes. Parent nodes are nodes with 1 or more child nodes. And for parent nodes, you can distinguish between open nodes and closed nodes. So open nodes, for open nodes, the child nodes are visible, and for closed nodes, the childs are invisible. It is, for a lot of things, it is helpful to have those definitions if you want to discuss it with others, because if you always switch terms, things get very confusing. What do we want to have? So all navigation available for mouse users needs to be available for keyboard users too. That sounds easy, but it is not that easy, because you need to be able to expand and collapse parent nodes. Once you select a node, the content needs to be the content of the page needs to be shown in the content frame on the right side, and every node needs to be focusable with the keyboard. Additionally, there is the context menu. The context menu should also be available with using the keyboard. So what I thought the page tree structure will look like was like a nested list where you have the page tree root node, then you have the first child node, congratulations in this example, and then you have more child nodes, like an unordered list with nodes and child nodes. Well, it got harder than expected because that is not the structure in the SVG. In the SVG, it is not structured as a tree. There are 3 plain lists of elements in the SVG. You have the nodes BG, the links, and the nodes. And inside there are plain lists. These 3 DOM element groups do not have any information on level, parent, or children of the element. So nodes BG is a plain list of SVG rectangles. They are used for click event handling and for highlighting of the current selection. The links is a plain list of SVG path, and those draw the lines for the tree structure. And finally, the nodes, that is a plain list of SVG groups, and in these groups there is information like indentation, icons, icon overlays, text content, and more like that. But it got even harder because you only have the nodes in the DOM present that are visible in the viewport. So it is a scroll view list, and only the currently visible nodes are in the DOM. That is because if you have large trees, you don't want to have the whole tree in the DOM structure if you only need to display like 50 nodes for the screen. You don't want to have all 2000 nodes in the DOM structure of the browser, because that can break the browser. You do not have all pages available for the browser to build the accessibility tree. The accessibility tree is similar to the DOM tree of the browser, but that is the structure that is available, for example, for screen readers or other assistive technologies. Also, we have no logical grouping of the children, so you cannot decide if the surrounding elements are siblings of the current node or nodes of a different level. And the JavaScript of the page tree is also used for the category tree. So it is not only the problems we already had, but also we have a multi-select tree that should also become usable for keyboard users, and that one is includes selection. So how did I manage to get the browser to know the tree? First of all, we have the problems. There is no tree-like structure, so the browser cannot determine the values like level or number of siblings on its own. We are not able to generate the list as a tree. So one idea was to switch the rendering in the DOM, so it is the DOM elements are nested, but that is not possible because only the visible nodes are available, and that wouldn't be sufficient for the tree. So we need to find a workaround. What information do we need for this workaround? Every node needs to know the level of inside the tree, and the node needs to know how many siblings he how many siblings he has, and the position inside the set of siblings. So, for example, if a page has 50 other pages on the same level, it needs to know that it is number 34, because maybe not all 50 pages are available in the DOM, so the browser wouldn't know how many other pages there are if you scroll. Additionally, for parent nodes, you need to know the status, so if it is expanded or collapsed, and you need to know the group of children that are assigned to this node if it's not an end node. And child nodes need to know the parent node, so they need to know where they are connected to the tree. And this parent node doesn't need to be available in the DOM. Telling the browser the new structure was not that easy, but we figured out that also here YARIA helps to virtually restructure the relationships. And so we were able to find roles we could assign to the DOM nodes, but you have to be very careful with that, because if you choose to use ARIA, you need to code the browser behavior in script. So if you say this is a parent node, the browser just announces it as parent node to the assistive technologies, but it doesn't handle anything like keyboard interaction. So that needs to be done in the JavaScript. And it is important to know why ARIA should only be used if there's no other option. So, for example, you also can have ARIA roles like button, but if possible, you should use a real HTML button and not the role button to create a button, because as said, if you create an HTML5 button, it has the behavior that is expected by the user. If you create, for example, a spam element and give it the role button, it doesn't have any of the behavior that is expected, and you have to do it all on your own. Additionally, with ARIA, you can assign states and properties to tell the browser additional information, like the number of children, the number of siblings of a node. I will show you an example of this later. Another thing was a question if we need additional elements to handle everything. And we figured out we can use the nodes part for the tree. So you see here the SVG group with the class nodes, where all the nodes are inside, got the role tree, and every node inside got the role tree item. So we now have a tree with 3 items. But now we have the problem that if one node is a parent node, it needs to own a group, and it is not allowed to own multiple nodes. We only have but we only have additional group elements with the role tree item in the DOM. So what should we do now? We cannot structure the tree. We have the role tree and the role tree item elements, but nothing for structuring them in the way they should be structured. Well, we figured out we could hijack the link paths as groups. So every parent element has a link path. So for every element in the tree, there is this link path that draws the line. And the lines are always available if the children are available, because the children are the next level and the upper level link is always shown. We can hijack these to define the group. So we have this link element, and it got the role group assigned, the ARIA role, and with the information ARIA owns, we could add a list of identifiers that are the children of this group. So they are all the identifiers in here are the IDs of the siblings. And we need additional information on this tree item, that every parent knows the group of its children. So with ARIA owns, we assign the group identifier of the link item that is a group. So now we have a tree. We have the nodes of the tree items, and we have the grouping. Just to show you how this looks in the TYPO3 page tree as an example. This pages is the node with the ID identifier 65, and it has a role tree item. And this simple is another element with the role tree item, and they are grouped. All those nodes here, default, 2 columns, and the others are grouped in the group identifier, that is this link drawn before the element, and this owns all the children tree item elements. So the browser knows the tree. We are done. Yeah, great. But wait, the tree structure isn't enough. As I said, the ARIA roles do not have anything to do with the browser behavior. So now the accessibility tools would know that it is a tree, but you still cannot handle the tree with, you still cannot work with a tree. So now we have to do the focus management and the keyboard navigation. So using the keyboard key, the user sets the focus to one element of the tree widget, and after after he is inside the tree view, he can navigate using the arrow keys, and when tabbing out, when pressing the tab key another time, he is outside of the tree view again. So the keyboard interaction requirements are: we need to handle the arrow keys, up, down, left, and right. We need to handle the home and the end keys. We need to handle enter key for activating, and we need to handle space key, especially for the multi-select tree, that is the category tree. I now try to show you a short keyboard navigation demo after everything was implemented. You can use the keys. So now I'm pressing down, and you see the focus switching here. And if I press right key, the node is expanded, and with enter key, the content is shown on the right side. I can go down, and with the left key, I collapse a parent node, and with enter, I select it again with position 1, so home, I go to the first element of the page tree. So yeah, we're accessible. The tree is usable with the keyboard navigation. Great. Wait, we are still not done. Well, what is important if you improve something in large projects is to ensure it keeps working in the future. So especially on large open source projects like TYPO3, where literally hundreds of developers are contributing, we have to ensure that the accessibility of the page tree is not affected by other changes without the need to have a personal look on every upcoming change. So what we did is to add front-end tests for TYPO3. Every merge request is handed over to Bamboo. That is a server for automated testing of TYPO3 change requests. And those tests are run by Codeception. So we implemented new front-end tests for keyboard interaction. That was a little bit difficult because at the beginning, pressing multiple keys multiple times was not stable. So the key presses got were not passed to the Codeception browser. So yeah, it was a little bit hard, but after some changes in the setup, everything started to work as expected. We implemented the essential front-end tests, so we only test basic functionality because those tests are run on every merge request. The tests can also be run manually, and this can be done in the default development setup. There's information on the TYPO3 documentation how to create this development setup, and inside you can run build script run tests -s acceptance page tree, and those are the acceptance tests for the page tree. And if you do this, or if you look on Bamboo, where also the test results for every test are shown, you will see something like this: Codeception results okay, and that is a result HTML page of Codeception, and you have those tests, those 6 tests we implemented for the page tree. So we ensure that a page can be focused with down key and opened with enter key. We ensure that the focus can be changed with up and down keys. We ensure that the subtree can be opened with the right, can be expanded with the right arrow and collapsed with the left arrow. And the last page can be focused with the end key, and the first page can be focused with the home key. Yeah, we are finally done. We are accessible. So as you see, it was able to do it, but I would not have been able to do it without help of the community. So I contacted the community on Barcamps or using the Slack channel. I participated in the initiative week. That was really essential because there I got direct help by, I think, at least 10 other developers that helped me fix all my struggles. So we had a lot of discussion on how this could and should be done. We added all required information in the ARIA attributes. We added all the keyboard interactions required. That was a lot of JavaScript where I needed help because I'm mainly more into PHP than JavaScript, but yeah, it helped a lot to have assistance. And in the end, I definitely needed help with the tests that ensure everything keeps working, because I wasn't into this type of front-end tests inside Codeception and Bamboo and everything. So it was very helpful to have help of others. So the idea of fixing the tree in one day during this initiative week did not work out. But at the end of the week, the Pagetree was at least working as expected, and the tests were there, but not yet working as expected. And afterwards, I continued working on it, and everything was finally in place and merged into the master branch and working by the end of that year. So we are accessible. Are we done? Wait, that was only the Pagetree. And as you might know, TYPO3 is more than a Pagetree. And that is why the accessibility team still is looking to get help by others, and there are lots of things that can be improved, and for that I have to have a small promotion, because from October 21st to October 23rd, the accessibility team is preparing an accessibility sprint. So we are trying to improve accessibility of TYPO3 on these 3 days, and try to have it as a remote sprint. Because of the current situation with Corona, we decided to have it as a remote sprint. And we like to invite everyone, and you do not have to be an expert. As you saw, I was not an expert in TYPO3, and with the help of others, I managed to fix the Pagetree. And on these days, we try to work together to get TYPO3 better in terms of accessibility. And we also want to do things like documentation and creating information for people to work on TYPO3 later. So new parts of TYPO3 will be accessible from the beginning, and we do not have to work on it later. So yeah, I would be happy to have as many of you on this sprint and work together with us. More information you can find in the on the typo3.org page, and there is an event for the accessibility sprint, and in the community part you also find the link to the teams, and there's the accessibility team for more information. So thank you for listening, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks a lot. My key takeaways: there's nothing like the power of the community. We will add the link to the accessibility sprint information in the comments of the YouTube video later on. And the second takeaway, are we done yet? No, wait, we now have the questions. So is there anybody online in Zoom who has any questions? Seems not so. Thus, Attila, Vienna, are there any questions from Vienna?
Yes. Yes, please.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
First of all, big compliment to you and all the people who were involved in this work of fixing the tree, because I can imagine it's quite a lot of work and not a very funny work. And,
well, we had a lot of fun on the initiative week, so it was nice.
yeah. And second, I wanted to ask this accessibility group or accessibility board initiative. Is it the only focus to improve accessibility of the TYPO3 backend, or is it also part of the focus to help editors and developers to improve the accessibility in the front end when they are working with TYPO3?
That is a very good question. We, for sure, also have a look on the front end and on helping editors. So those are also two topics of the accessibility team. So we definitely try to improve TYPO3, helping editors to create accessible content. And we also will try to improve the default renderings of TYPO3 to be accessible. So also the front end is part of accessibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have another question here? Yes.
So you said you finished the Pagetree menu, but there's one small item missing, which is when you right-click on a node, you get an extra menu. Yeah. And you didn't solve this.
Yeah, the menu is open, but you cannot work with the keyboard on it. And that is one part we try to fix on the accessibility sprint. So we know it is an open issue, and yeah, we are trying to fix that in October. So at least in version 11, also the context menu will be keyboard accessible.
Okay, do we have another question here? So maybe I would like to ask you something. Yeah. I like the idea behind these initiatives, and my question is, what would you suggest other TYPO3 maniacs regarding starting an initiative? If somebody has an idea, a problem, a solution for something, what is your suggestion? What are your tips?
Well, the most important part for me was getting in contact with others of the community. So I was at a bar camp, as I said, in Munich. I was talking to, I think, 3 or 4 persons that also that already are active in contributing content. And after that, it just went on. So I was asked if I would like to restart this initiative. It was not my idea to create an initiative. So it was kind of brought to me by the community that the right way to do it is to have this initiative working again. And now I was, during discussions, it was brought to me that it would be better to have an accessibility team. So it continued to grow during discussions. So the most important part is to talk to person. Okay. And it is also possible via Slack. So you can write person in Slack. And I never had any time where I wrote someone and I got an answer. I got an answer that was not satisfying. So at least if they do not know the answer, they tell you, well, just ask Benny or ask Oliver, or say they forward you, and at the end you know where you can leave your question.
Okay. And do you know, is an initiative supported by the association in some kind of way, maybe?
There are budgets. So the association, they have a budget for TYPO3, and you can apply for budgets as initiative. Also, like bar camps can apply for budgets. For example, the accessibility initiative got a budget for 2020 and we use it for an accessibility audit that is done before the sprint, and we also use it for the spendings that are during the accessibility sprint. So there are options to apply for budgets, and if you are a team, you have a fixed budget, so you do not need to apply for a budget as team.
Okay. Okay, do you have any other question here? No? Yes, thank you very much, Michael. It was very interesting. And yes, I give back to Peter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
welcome.
much, Michael. Yeah, that's your applause, Michael. Thank you for the big insights, and there is no such power than the community. Thank you also for the insights in working together with the community. For us here in the remote world, we will have a final session today, which is not streamed on YouTube and not recorded. This final session will be about live accessibility testing. And you can follow it remotely by joining us on Zoom. For more information, please proceed to our webpage, typo3camp.at. Look at the sessions page, you'll find all the information there. For our remote party, people on here on the Zoom, we stop recording now. We stop the live streaming now to YouTube. Feel free to chit chat and network. Thank you very much, and see you in a few minutes, Vienna. Thank you.